Howdy, Aggie. Welcome back to another episode of Home Turf. This is episode 8, where we cover all things Aggie sports for and from the battalion. I'm your host, Grant Gasper, man. Let's get to it. Well, all right, a lot of stuff's been going on this past week for Aggie sports. A lot of stuff to cover. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why we're going to talk about today. But for starters, we have some things to cover. Dwayne Haskins, Washington Commander quarterback, signed with the Steelers this past season, played at Ohio State University. He passed away. R.I.P. I mean, as any college football lover, college football fan, everyone had the utmost respect for this guy. Hate to see him die so soon, so young. He was an amazing athlete, man. Such a 2018 Heisman finalist, 2019 Rose Bowl MVP. I understand he set the single-season record for passing touchdowns and passing yards at Ohio State. He was super fun to watch, especially being a Cowboy fan, going up against him twice a season when he played for Washington, and now he was playing for the Steelers before he passed away. It's sad news for all college football fans, praying for his family, his friends, and his teammates, and I hate to see that happen. Going on next, this past couple of weeks we haven't dropped an episode. That is my fault. I took a trip to New York City to cover the men's basketball team as they competed in the NIT tournament. They lost just by one bucket against Xavier. Devastating loss. Hate to see it, but it was a really fun trip. 30 weeks from tomorrow, college basketball will begin again. My favorite season. You know, big college football guy. I love college baseball, but you know, for me, I'm a college basketball guy, so I'm counting down the days until it returns again. It was an amazing season by A&amp basketball, one to remember. They should all be back minus Q next season with the addition of 4 transfers and recruits. If you want to read more about it, I dropped a feature from the battalion. It's covering the 2022 A&amp recruiting team. I mean, a lot of 4 solid guys who I think would be important pieces to the team. With the New York City trip, it was fun. You know, getting to experience Madison Square Garden. As a sports fan, that's like a dream to go to. And the battalion I'm so thankful for the battalion for sending me there. It was a fun time, fun trip with Bobby and Kay. We had a great trip. It was fun covering A&M basketball. They had a great, very entertaining, very inspirational season. So this past weekend, we had family weekend, ring dunks. If you don't know, well, I guess you knew when you got in your car and started driving down the street and there's traffic everywhere. I mean, it took me 30 minutes just to get to my buddy's house, which was across the street, just how much traffic there was. Very fun weekend indeed. A lot of sporting events went on, from track, baseball. We had the spring football game, and I understand there was a bull riding competition, professional bull riding competition here too, which I didn't partake in that, but I heard very good things about it. Game 1 of Kentucky, I got to go cover it on Thursday. Baseball, they won 3-2. Troy Clonch carried. We'll get a little more into that soon. But I heard a tweet went out by Michaela Rush, another battalion editor here, saying that people are asking and people are saying that the battalion needs a sports podcast. Well, shoot. I guess I haven't been doing a good job of spreading the news. That's on me. Well, what you're listening to right now is our sports podcast of Home Turf, where we cover all things Aggie sports. We have three very big topics to hit today, starting with Maroon and White spring football takeaways, which I will take away that right now. So spread the news. You know, if you're trying to listen to another podcast, I got you. This is the Home Turf podcast, and let's get to it. So starting with the Maroon and White spring football takeaways, I wasn't able to go to the game, but I did sit on my couch and watch it. Very entertaining. We saw a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. But again, it's in the spring. That's why we have this game. They have a long offseason ahead until the fall starts. A lot of things to work out, a lot of pieces to put together. And so for starters, let's talk about this quarterback competition. So we got to witness Haynes King, Max Johnson, Connor Wigman. This competition that we've been talking about for a while here on the podcast, that's been the hype in College Station. And to be honest, it was kind of a letdown. I mean, people are coming out saying it was very hard for them to throw. It was very windy. understand that. And also, guys like Haynes King hasn't played a snap since, week 2 of the college football season last year. He's been dealing with an injury. He finally was back and was able to witness a good game. I mean, they didn't play horrible. They didn't play great. You could blame the win. Don't have to blame the win. Say whatever you want. You say it's a good secondary, but from the stats that I picked up after the game, Haynes King threw 11 for 33, only 130 yards passing, 0 TDs, and 2 interceptions. He ran pretty good. I mean, he ran only 3 times, ran for 42 yards, and picked up a touchdown. I think it was the first drive of the game, 12-yard touchdown. What we all expect from the dual threat quarterback, him being able to run and pass. He ran very well. Passing, not so well. Again, you could say the win. On the other side, on the other team, Max Johnson threw 13 for 31, threw 3 yards less than Haynes King, but he had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And as for running, I didn't realize Max Johnson had wheels, man. That's what Jimbo said. Like, Max Johnson he's a very good athlete. He can throw the ball, sling it, and outrun your best player. And we saw he ran for 91 yards on 8 attempts. Didn't have any touchdowns, but I'm pretty sure he had a 48-yard run. I mean, dude's a freak athlete. It's gonna be a close call come fall. Who's gonna start? This game didn't give me much hope. Didn't give me any hints of who I think it will be. Freshman Connor Wickman, he only completed 7 of his passes, but he threw for 116 yards and had a touchdown. And he was the only quarterback who didn't throw interception. So that's a positive. I doubt he'll get the start come fall, but we have to see over this offseason what happens. One guy that stepped up this spring football game that I had no idea who he was, and it took me a while to look him up on the internet to find out who he was. The guy Avery Hughes, walk-on sophomore. He had 2 interceptions. Well, I'm gonna say 3. I mean, one of them the online said fumble recovery, but to me it looked like an interception. 2 interceptions. The third one, was a pick 6 off Blake Bosa's first throw. I mean, dude had an outstanding game. He ended the game with 7 tackles, 2, and had 3 breakups. He was all over the field. I mean, hey, walk on or not, dude's an athlete. I mean, he just adds another piece to our already pretty good and pretty deep secondary, being led by Damani Richardson. During halftime, I understand they had the Maroon and White Legends game. That was fun to watch. I don't have any stats on that game. It was cool to see Mike Evans on the field, see Johnny Manziel out there throwing dots, throwing dimes. I saw this dude do a front flip, or is it back flip? He did a flip, something that I can't even do, and that guy's probably twice my age. Really fun game to watch. And then someone else that really impressed me in this game is Amari Daniels. So Devin Achane, he was out. He was at the 44 Farms Invitational for track. So Amari Daniels got a lot of the carries. We saw Nia Smith get some carries, but he was rocking a gold jersey, so no one was really tackling him. So it was really like touch football with him. But Amari Daniels, man, he was going on. He was going full out. Had 16 attempts, 128 yards, no touchdowns, but the dude was running all over the field, man. He had to field a really impressive spring game for him. And another freshman with Connor Wigman, one of the big recruits we got, Evan Stewart, had a day. Really, really impressive spring game. He had 7 catches for 75 yards and had a long 32-yard catch, which he mossed his defender. Don't know who it was, but I'll be praying for that guy. He had a really impressive day, and there's a lot of actually recruits that came to watch the game but didn't actually play. I saw Chris Marshall on the sideline, another receiver who should be really good, really helpful, bring another addition to the wideouts for the 3 quarterbacks we got. It was really fun spring game to watch. I don't really get a lot out of it. All I got is running back position were good, receivers were good, secondary were fine. Quarterbacks we got to see go through the full offseason, come fall. I'll let you know how I'm feeling about it. But at the battalion, we'll be covering the competition all summer long. So next, let's go to the baseball game. Man, 2-1 series win against Kentucky. They won 2 out of the 3 games. Game 1, like I told you, I was out. I was at covering. I got kicked out of the press box. Yeah, it kind of sucked. It was freezing cold out there, 59 degrees. But it was a very interesting game. I'm glad I went. Troy Clonch, man. absolutely, like, he carried. He put together all 3 of the runs. He had 3 RBIs, 3 hits, and when honestly it was about 12:15 going into the bottom of the 11th, I got video of him hitting it. I just had a feeling if he wasn't going to hit it, if he was going to go to the 12th, I don't know if I was staying or not. My hands were numb. I couldn't feel my ears. I was freezing cold, and the game looked like it was just dragging on. But Troy Clonch came in clutch, hit a walk-off slammy, his first of his career at A&M, and his first walk-off. Man, it was a really good game by Clonch. He had a couple overthrows from behind the plate when he was playing catcher, but dude was automatic when it came to inside the box. And then something else happened game 3 after the loss on Friday. Game 3, A&M won 17-3. Ryan Targott got a hit for the cycle. He went 4 for 5, hit a career high of 5 RBIs and scored 3 runs. He's a switch hitter. If y'all didn't know that, he singled and doubled from the right side of the plate, switched over to the left and hit a triple and a homer. Like, to be able to do that is so impressive. I can't even hit. I'm a righty. I bat righty. I can hardly hit right side, left. I look like I never swung a bat in my life and tried to swing left. So to be able to hit from both sides of the plate and hit for the cycle is really impressive. Actually, 2 players have now hit for the cycle for A&M in less than 2 weeks against UT, Texas, when A&M went to Austin, beat them on their own turf. Jack Moss hit for the cycle, and Brian Targott joins them as the only 2 players this season hit for the cycle for A&M. And that was all less than, 12 days? Like, insane. So, great evening, great weekend for football, baseball. Track had a pretty good weekend. They had 11 people win their events. But there's a team that I want to talk about who I haven't talked about all season. I mean, all since we started the podcast. That I believe needs some hype right now. And that's the Texas A&M's women's tennis team. Now, this team has been putting on a show. And if you haven't watched them yet, go watch them. They have 2 games, but they're both away. So if you want to go to Arkansas or Missouri to watch them, go ahead, go. I'm not going to go. I'm too broke right now. But I'll try to watch them the best I can. They are 25-1 right now, undefeated in SEC play. Currently on a 16-game win streak, and they're absolutely dominating. And the head coach of this team, if y'all don't know, is Mark Weaver. And let me just kind of sound out his resume right now. He has appeared in 1 SEC championship match. He has won 3 conference championships, appeared in 7 Sweet 16 appearances, has produced 9 All-Americans, have been to 21 consecutive NCAA tournaments, 22 seasons at Texas A&M entering this year, and 56 all-conference designees. So, pretty deep resume. He actually used to play tennis at A&M. Was pretty good, honestly, from what I saw. Even a better coach. I mean, he's coaching this team up right now to a 25-1 season. They've lost 1 game. With 2 games left to go, they play Arkansas on April 15th in Fayetteville. And then they're going to go on and play Missouri on April 17th in Missouri. It's going to be away. And then after that, we have the SEC tournament, which they're first in the SEC right now. They'll be number 1 seed in that tournament. And let's see how far this team can go. I mean, they're playing unstoppable right now. Really impressive. I just had to give them a quick shout-out on this podcast. Probably this is the most winningest team in A&M's, I'm not going to say history, but this season for sure. Most impressive team. And on this podcast, we talk A&M sports. And why not talk about the most successful A&M team going on right now? Let's take a look into what we have going on next week. Starting on April 12th, we have baseball playing in Corpus Christi against A&M Corpus Christi. Wednesday, we have the women's golf SEC championship in Alabama. On April 14th, we have equestrian playing Baylor for the NCEA championship. And then we have baseball traveling to Georgia to begin their 3-game series. Going on, we have the women's golf championship continuing, track and field playing at the Tom Jones Memorial, men's tennis playing at South Carolina, baseball playing at Georgia, and then, like I said, women's tennis is playing Arkansas in Fayetteville. April 16th, that Saturday, the track and field Tom Jones Memorial meet continues. Women's golf SEC championship continues. Softball plays in Tennessee against Tennessee. Then baseball plays game 3 of their 3-game series against Georgia. And then that Sunday is the last day of the women's golf SEC championship. Women's tennis plays their final game of the season against Missouri. Men's tennis plays at Florida. And then softball plays against Tennessee for their final game of the series. So, guys, that's all that we have today. I appreciate y'all showing up, listening to this podcast. Spread the word. I didn't know that no one knew we didn't have a podcast. I'm kind of disappointed in that, but spread the word. I'll try my best once this podcast goes up. It's on all platforms. You can watch it on Spotify, Apple, whatever, podcasts, wherever you listen it on. Will most likely be on there. Spread the word. The Battalion does have a podcast. It's hosted by me, Grant Gaspard, and I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for stopping by.